Alright, so welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a very special and interesting iceberg to cover. Created by Blastoise_ for the win on Reddit, we have the video game Hoaxes and Rumors Iceberg, which if you know me or have seen my GTA myth videos, you know I'm a huge fan of video game urban legends, myths, rumors, hoaxes, and basically anything in between. Even if it is just something that's been made up by the community. There's still something just so interesting about the legends that are created and how they spread throughout a certain game's community, and sometimes even tend to take on a life of their own, surpassing all expectations of the creator of said hoax or rumor. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate. Talking about how to summon Herobrine at school, or how to find Bigfoot in San Andreas, or even how to spot Sparky the dog in FNAF. I mean, it's these tall tales and rumors that keep us interested in some of these games, hunting for secrets and investigating mysteries, even if they turned out to be fake. So I mean, maybe the Bigfoots were the friends we made along the way. Stupid line. Anyways, without further delay, let's jump into some of the most well-known topics before we delve deeper into the more unknown and uncharted waters. This is the video game Hoaxes and Rumors Iceberg Explained. Tier 1. Shenlong. So this is actually an ongoing hoax and joke in the Street Fighter fighting game series, because starting in 1992, the gaming magazine Electronic Gaming Monthly described a character called Shenlong in the game Street Fighter II as an April Fool's joke, and even suggested that the character was unlockable, despite the origin of this character just being a mistranslation of one of the victory quotes from one of Ryu's special moves, that being something like, quote, "If you cannot overcome the Shoryuken, you cannot win." But in English it was translated to, "You must defeat Shenlong to stand a chance." So Shenlong, not Shenlong, is actually a dragon from Chinese mythology, who is also the basis of Shenron from Dragon Ball, but that's off topic. And this made people believe that this was not actually a move, but rather a character, and possibly Ryu's master. Anyway, people thought this was real for a while, and the myth kind of spread around. I mean, they didn't really have the internet back then to fact check stuff, so it was carried over to even Street Fighter III, which EGM also did another hoax on in 1997, with a complete appearance and backstory. He even also appeared in a Street Fighter comic book series from 1993, and despite it being known as a hoax now, the legend of this one still lives on. And in Street Fighter IV, a character was added called Gouken, which is about as close as we're gonna get to Shenlong. At least for now, that is. Polybius. Okay, so this is a really well-known one. I've talked about it before, and I'm sure most of you have heard of it, so I'll just give a brief rundown in case somehow you haven't heard of what might be the biggest gaming urban legend of all time. So back in the early 80s, it was said that there were these rare arcade cabinets called Polybius, which were only around for a short while and had an asteroids type of game. But in reality, they were some kind of government experiment, possibly related to MK Ultra, most notably said to have occurred in Portland, Oregon, with government agents wearing black suits taking data from the machines. And gamers that played it were said to experience psychoactive effects, such as seizures, insomnia, hallucinations, and more. However, of course, no such game exists, but it is a really cool urban legend, and one of the first big gaming ones, which likely started in the 90s through word of mouth and early video game forums. To be honest, there really is no hoax quite like this one when it comes to gaming. Definitely the most documented one here, and it's become a piece of internet and gaming culture, with it appearing in various TV shows and even other games. And of course, people have made their own versions of this infamous arcade cabinet. El Israel 2401. So yeah, it's crazy, but for a while this was just a rumor. A lot of people even thought it was just a hoax, but El really was real all along. Well, I mean, he existed, but you can't unlock him in the game as some people thought, so that part is a hoax. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. If you're not familiar with Mario 64, this is referencing the theory that Luigi is actually in the game and could possibly be unlocked somehow through some elaborate Easter egg. Now that part is untrue, but even so, many people gave up hope that he was even planned to be in the game at all. But in 2020, there was a huge Nintendo leak, including a leaked beta of Mario 64, which did actually include Luigi's model. Also, if you're wondering where that strange entry name comes from, it derives from a sign found in the game, which has some hard to make out text that some believe reads L is real 2401, as some sort of hint that he was in the game or possibly how to unlock him. Well, at least we now know at some point he was planned to be included. Triforce in Ocarina of Time. So because it's a Nintendo game and also Legend of Zelda, no doubt there were theories on a few secrets and potential mysteries hidden in the game, including the Triforce. And similar to Mario 64, this game also had a ton of hoaxes and crazy rumors, but this time on how to unlock the Triforce, which ranged from finding a hidden final temple, throwing bombs into lava pits, or beating Ganon with certain restrictions, basically anything you could think of really. But in the modern era, the game has of course been data mined, and no such Triforce was ever found. Madden Curse. This is a really interesting one. So the legend goes that if an athlete appears on the cover of a Madden game, then they will suffer a brutal injury in the next season, or some unrelated bad thing will happen to them. Now, it's just a superstition, but it's worth noting that out of the 22 players to appear on the cover since Madden 99, 16 of them have had their seasons cut short due to injuries. I mean, maybe it's not that weird considering how physical of a sport football is, but I don't really know anything about football, so don't ask me. Still, it's definitely interesting. Mew under the truck. So this rumor is from Pokemon Red and Blue, and can be found near the ship in Vermilion City, and this is the truck right here. Seems innocuous enough, right? Well, I mean, it really is, there's nothing here, but many players thought that there was some sort of secret hidden under the truck for some reason. The most popular of these was the Pokemon Mew. So either by trading a Pokemon with Surf, or by throwing a battle on the ship and getting sent back to the town so that it would stay there, players were actually able to use the ability Surf to go around it and get to this small island. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing under the truck, sad face. However, most likely as a nod to this rumor, in future releases a rare item was actually hidden there. Herobrine. Well. Now here we have one of the most nostalgic for me, and I'm sure a lot of others. The alleged ghost and dead brother of Minecraft creator Notch. We have the one and only Herobrine. I remember the heydays of people saying how he existed, posting sightings, and even making tutorials on how to summon him. Good times. Anyway, this guy has been around for a while now. It started on forums with screenshots and just grew from there, to having like creepypastas and stuff. Now, at first, Mojang and Notch denied his existence, but later on they made a couple of jokes in update notes where they would put removed Herobrine. Honestly, at this point, I don't see why he hasn't been officially added into the game as some sort of rare encounter or boss fight or something. I think that'd be pretty sick. Reviving Aerith. Okay, so here's another really big one, especially for you Final Fantasy fans out there. Speaking of which, yeah, a bit of spoiler talk here for Final Fantasy VII. Really old game, but yeah, I thought I should mention it anyway. Even though, you know, the title kind of spoils already, but whatever. Anyway, this refers to a really old urban legend that somehow you could revive the character Aerith, who gets killed off later in the game. I guess this just hurt people so much that they became delusional and thought there was actually some elaborate Easter egg to do so, but that unsurprisingly was never found. Although there were plenty of hoaxes and rumors associated with this, such as having to use the underwater materia, or even picking specific dialogue options, but both of these were proven false. Ermac. So the Iceberg says for this entry Ermac fight, but I assume this is just referring to the rumored character from Mortal Kombat. Possibly the title could be referring to a secret fight which would unlock the character if beaten, but this is a long-standing myth in the series, so much so that he was actually added into later titles, which is really cool. But the origin of this character is in the original game. Sometimes the word Ermac would be displayed, which wasn't actually a secret unlockable character like some people thought. This is actually just an abbreviation of macro error. Once again though, Electronic Gaming Monthly created an article with this image claiming he was a secret unlockable red ninja. Blowing into carts. So this is more of a general thing back from when video games were on cartridges. Remember those days? Me neither. Actually I do. I used to play some NES games like Punch-Out back in the day, and I actually remember my dad doing this, I think. Basically, it's supposed to help the game work if it's not running properly, or possibly make it run faster, or something. I'm not quite sure. But at least I thought it would help clear debris and gunk and whatnot out of the pins. But this kind of reminds me of something else, little side tangent, but I grew up on games for the PS2 and Xbox 360, and when games didn't work for us, we for some reason put toothpaste on it and rubbed it in, and that shit actually worked. Don't ask me how, but yeah. Tier 2. Stop and Swap. I've talked about this a billion times at this point, but Stop and Swap is a mystery found in the original Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, because there are 6 of these strange eggs that can be found, as well as an ice key. What's so special about these items? Well, they are shown in a cutscene if the game is completed with 100 Jiggies collected, meaning that these are for some sort of secret, but it actually can't be accessed as the feature was never finished or fully implemented. And the only way to acquire these items were actually through cheat codes, but unfortunately they don't do anything, despite there being theories on what this big secret and mystery could be. But it was eventually revealed that Nintendo planned for what was called the Stop and Swap feature, which was a pretty novel yet strange concept, in which players would have to swap to another game to presumably collect the items. But this idea was abandoned at some point in development because not only would it be a difficult thing to do, but it could also potentially damage systems. Although this was eventually implemented into the Xbox Live Arcade ports of the games. Hidden Palace Zone. This refers to a cut zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It is one of 5 zones that ended up being cut, and it was even shown off in a screenshot for a gaming magazine at some point. But when the game released, the level was nowhere to be found. So when the game first came out, some believed that it was in the game, but it was just a hidden level. Although it turned out, of course, that this wasn't the case, and the level just simply went unused. Although it could actually be accessed through a Game Genie code. And the level was officially released in 2013 in the remaster of Sonic 2. Mount Chiliad Mystery. Now, this is an insane rabbit hole when it comes to GTA 5, and is definitely the biggest and most elaborate myth in the game. And there's just so much to unpack here, and really it's not a hoax or a rumor or anything. This is actually a full-on Easter egg by Rockstar. However, it may not be fully solved, which I think is why it appears on this iceberg, because many believe there is more to this mystery and what it could mean. So first of all, there's the actual map painted on the wall on Mount Chiliad, which is the basis of this whole mystery. And there's some symbols here as well, and these are understood as the sunken UFO, the alien egg, and the jetpack. The sunken UFO can be found in-game, and the jetpack and egg are both featured in GTA Online. And the other stuff is thought to relate to getting 100% completion in the game, with the mural relating to the GTA Online Doomsday heist. But there is definitely more to look into here with this mystery. Bigfoot in San Andreas. Should I even talk about this, or should I just move on? I'm just kidding, but if you've been around the channel, you know I've discussed almost every notable GTA myth that there is in all of the mainline games, including San Andreas, which was the first one I covered. And of course, you know we talked about Bigfoot, one of the greatest gaming urban legends of all time, and definitely the biggest myth in any Rockstar game, not just GTA. But I'll explain if you don't already know the lore, but I mean, go check out that GTA video, there's some pretty cool stuff there. Anyway, so when San Andreas came out back in 2004, almost immediately people began reporting strange creatures and phenomena throughout the game's darkest corners. One such myth was Bigfoot, who was said to be found by players in the countryside around Baco Beyond or Mount Chiliad, and it kind of snowballed into a huge thing, with people coming up with methods to allegedly summon him via an Easter egg or how to just find him in the game. But sadly, the myth is actually false. There is no Bigfoot that's been found in the files or otherwise, despite years of searching. Still, it became an iconic part of the GTA mythos, and he was eventually featured prominently in GTA 5, so there is that at least, and of course there are quite a few mods for San Andreas to actually witness the legend. Bill's Secret Garden. Here we have another gaming hoax from Pokemon Red and Blue. This one is from Bill's house, as there is a small area behind it that is normally inaccessible, and you know what that means. Some people thought there could be some super crazy secret back here, like a rare Pokemon or possibly the other starting Pokemon that the player didn't choose, but sadly no. When you hack the game and get back there, there's nothing. There's also a creepypasta though from way back in the day related to this called Pokemon Leaf Green Beta, but this rumor probably came well before that. Super Mario Galaxy DS. This hoax, originating from a 2007 YouTube video, showed how a port of Super Mario Galaxy for the DS was accessible from an alleged elaborate Easter egg hidden in the Wii version, which would lead you to finding a golden DS item that would basically allow you to download the DS game. And honestly, for the time that it was made, it's a really well-made hoax video. However, pretty recently there was a real fan project revealed bringing a DS version of Super Mario Galaxy to life, which is pretty cool, and it even has a demo currently available for download. Tomb Raider nude code. So apparently this was a pretty huge gaming urban legend back in the day. I'm sorry if you were one of these dudes trying to get these cheat codes, because these guys were down bad. I mean, look at these polygons, bruh. Like, what even is this? This almost looks like Minecraft or something. Actually, what am I saying? Pretty sure people are actually into that. Alright, I'm getting off track. Let me stop. Anyways, if you haven't heard of this, it's basically what it sounds like. A rumored code for the 1996 action-adventure Tomb Raider that would make the protagonist, Lara Croft, become naked. Obviously these don't work, but still, this rumor persisted for years and years, through the various new entries in the series. And apparently this rumor was also teased and perpetuated by the devs themselves, and would troll players by providing some of these now infamous codes themselves. Mash A to catch. This is crazy because reading on this, I thought I was the only one who did this, just reflexively I guess, not even really thinking about it or anything. Kind of like moving your controller while steering a car in a racing game. What am I talking about? Well, you might have guessed by now, but basically the idea that if you mash the A button while trying to catch a Pokemon, it increases the chances of it being caught. And apparently a lot of people did and still do this, and there are even other variations on this myth, such as it being down B or down A, or even both L and R at the same time, or pressing a certain button right when it shakes. I mean, essentially any other button combo you can think of, I guess. But of course, none of these are actually true as far as we're aware. 17th Colossus. So the PS2 classic Shadow of the Colossus has 16 total colossi found in the game, which are basically the main bosses. However, since the release of the game, players believed there was a 17th hidden Colossus. There were many different variations and stories for which one this could be. Some claimed it to be a boar called Sirius who would appear atop the Shrine of Worship, while others claimed it to be some sort of dragon, and others said it was a kind of sea serpent that appeared in the ocean. Well, while there is no 17th hidden Colossus in the game, it is true that there were planned to be much more in development. In fact, 48 Colossi were planned at some point, and quite a few of them we actually know a bit about, which is probably where most, if not all of these rumors came from, including Sirius the Boar, which was actually one of these cut Colossi. Tier 3. Marty the Thwomp. So in Mario Kart 64 on the track Bowser's Castle, there can be found a lone green thwomp locked behind a cage. And this was seemingly just a background prop for the map, but players actually nicknamed the thwomp Marty. Because, I don't know, he looks like a Marty, I guess. And some took it a step further and began to spread rumors that he was actually a secret unlockable racer in the game. And the way to unlock him was by some sort of Easter egg that would free him from his cage. And to do this, you would have to select Bowser on this specific stage, then do this crazy method of going around the Bowser statue 3 times, then glitching yourself to drive the whole course backwards, and then circle the statue again in the opposite direction, and then go back to the cage and Marty will be freed and become a playable character. But unfortunately, this method as well as any others are just simply hoaxes. Diablo Cow Level. Back in the original Diablo from 1996, there was a rumored hidden level dubbed the Secret Cow Level, which could simply be accessed in the Tristram area by clicking on a cow a certain amount of times, which would unlock the level. Of course, it's on this iceberg, so this wasn't a real thing, but in future installments, Blizzard went out of their way to include many references to this myth, including a real secret cow level in Diablo 2. Silent Hill Ambulance Ending. So like with many other games and basically any piece of media that has multiple or alternate endings, there are bound to be theories and speculation on other secret endings. And the first Silent Hill game is no different, having a total of 4 endings, but a rumor quickly spread on gaming forums and such about a hidden 5th ending. And this was quite the elaborate hoax, as according to rumors you would have to beat the game on hard difficulty with at least a 9 out of 10 ranking, and then start the next playthrough where you would have to find various new items that spawned, which will allow the player to create an explosive device that could be used to open the traffic gate near the hospital. After this, you acquire an oil can and use this at a gas station to fuel an engine, which you then take to an ambulance at the hospital and then drive away through the town. But yeah, sadly this ending is not real. 10th Class. Alright, so here's a good one. This is referring to a rumored 10th playable class in the co-op shooter Team Fortress 2. And with this one, there were actually quite a few different hoaxes. First of all, there's the scrapped civilian class, which would have had the lowest health of any of the characters and not been able to attack at all, and most likely would have had a VIP role in certain maps, similar to Team Fortress Classic. But there were other fake rumors about additional characters, such as the Guard Dog, which was a part of the Guard Dog update hoax, which has a German Shepherd that had a machine gun strapped to it, that was also said to be able to carry around health packs and ammo for teammates. Luigi Hangs. This here is a rather infamous one from Luigi's Mansion, where sometimes due to the lighting and shadows displaced during flashes of lightning, it can look like Luigi is hanging in his shadow, which is most easily seen when he answers a call in the telephone room. However, this was all apparently just a glitch and not some sort of creepy Easter egg by Nintendo, as in the 3DS remake, this no longer occurs. Waluigi in Super Mario 64 DS. Alright, so you've heard of Luigi being unlockable in Mario 64, and here we have a pretty similar rumor for the DS version, this time with Waluigi, because Wario, Luigi, and Mario were actually playable in the game, so why not Waluigi? Now for this one, there were a bunch of faked screenshots and hoax methods for unlocking the character. Some involved the blank switching room, others suggested catching a purple rabbit seen in the beta screenshots, because, you know, he's purple too, I guess. Some thought you would unlock him upon 100% completion, but that was no good. Some believe the secret was hidden in some sort of black box, which might have just been some sort of glitch. And there was also an infamous April Fool's joke called Purple Prizes, which suggested that if you collected all the stars and found a secret switch, then you could unlock Waluigi. Yeah, that was quite a bit, and I'm sure there's more that I didn't even mention. Just know, Waluigi is not actually unlockable in the game, so far as we know, that is. Pokegods. So this is a bit of a broad term for quite a few fake Pokemon that circulated around in the late 90s, as some thought there were actually more than previously thought. This most likely got started because of Mew and the myth with the truck we discussed earlier, because back then it was one of the most mysterious Pokemon, and as time went on, more of these so-called Pokegod rumors were spread around, about rare and hidden Pokemon and evolutions. Just a few examples of some of these were Tricket, Doomsday or Doomsay, Apocalypse, Flareth, Peekabud, Mew3, and much more. This whole thing is a huge rabbit hole worthy of its own deep dive. Sonic and Tails in Melee. Once again, EGM is back at it again with their crazy hoaxes. This time for April Fools, they had a short article about how Sonic and Tails could allegedly be unlocked in the Nintendo Arena Fighter Super Smash Bros. Melee, if the player could defeat 20 enemies in the Cruel Melee mode, which if done would spawn both Tails and Sonic to fight the player at the same time. But like I said earlier, this was just another one of Electronic Gaming Monthly's hoaxes. Although at some point Sonic was actually considered to be in Melee during development, and he of course does appear in later installments of the franchise. Keckrock. Good old Keckrock. So this little gem of a lost media hoax was said to be an obscure game for the Sega Genesis released in 1993, starring this crocodile guy who would run around with a plunger as a weapon. And yeah, this is the iconic box art, along with the only alleged sound from the game.
Hey, I'm Keckrock.
It was also said to have multiple ports to things such as the NES, Game Boy, and even MS-DOS, but it seems this rumor was spread on 4chan initially with the image of the box art, and it has since had an actual fan game made on it, as well as an Iceberg covered by Sewer Reviewer. Sparky the Dog. So this is possibly the most infamous and well-known hoax from the indie horror hit Five Nights at Freddy's, as back when there was only the first entry in the series, the game was a lot more mysterious, and not everyone knew all there was to know about the game's world and such. Also, there weren't a million theory videos, and so for a while there was rumored to be a rare 6th animatronic that could occasionally be found in the pizzeria, that being this one, known as Sparky the Dog. And some found it rather convincing, but eventually the creators of the hoax revealed that the screenshots were indeed fake. Reviving Leo. So in a similar vein to the reviving Aerith rumor, there was a hoax that circulated for a time for the title Final Fantasy VI, where after the death of General Leo, the player could add him back into their party, somehow reviving him. Now it can be done through cheat codes, which might be why this rumor started in the first place, with some believing that there was some legit method, with most of them being rather complex. And there are some glitches that do actually work, but only for a very limited amount of time. Toad in Melee. So here we have another hidden character hoax for Smash Bros. Melee. This time Toad, which had a rumor spread around online that he could be unlocked by getting a perfect score during the credits, by shooting every single name that passes by, which is almost impossible, and then beating adventure mode after that, which was said to unlock the character, but of course this was all false. Tier 4. Noki Bay Book. So in Super Mario Sunshine, there is a strange and rather mysterious object that can be found in the level Noki Bay, a book dubbed the Noki Bay Book. It's hidden behind a door that you can't enter, so why is it here? What even is this, really? Most people do believe that it is some sort of piece of cut content, but there was a rumor that the book actually had a message written in Japanese, basically saying "You have no life," signed Shigeru Miyamoto. But the textures on the book don't actually have any readable text, so we don't necessarily know what this book is meant for. Whether it's just a weird, super hidden Easter egg, or something related to a cut mission or something. Deku Butler's son. So the Deku Butler is a character featured in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, who actually talks about his missing son, and can even be seen mourning him in the credits, which led to a rumor that there was some alternate ending where you could return the Deku Butler's son using the Song of Healing, which was said to be possible through glitching past a blocked path. But nothing can change this scene, and the Song of Healing does nothing for the Deku Butler's son. Yosuke's Eye. So I was a little late on the Persona train, I will admit, but Persona 4 is definitely one of my all-time favorite RPGs. Now, the actual rumor here concerns a strange eye that can be seen sometimes on Yosuke's Persona screen in rare instances. And many made theories as to what this could mean, such as it being an indication that his Persona wasn't at max level, or on the other side, some believed it could only be obtained by maxing out Yosuke's social link on his birthday in-game. However, it turns out that all of these rumors were false, and this is actually just a weird glitch, one that's not even present in the original Japanese version of the game. Upside Down Sinners. So here we have not so much a hoax or rumor, but an actual piece of pretty disturbing cut content in World of Warcraft, as there is a locked location that the player can't normally enter, called the Forgotten Crypt. However, by using exploits, players did manage to get in and were pretty creeped out by what they saw. What they call the Upside Down Sinners, basically bound dead bodies missing their hands and eyes in this flooded torture chamber or prison or whatever this is. Either way, it seems Blizzard decided to cut it due to its graphic and disturbing nature. Master Hand Playable. Back at it again with the playable melee characters, this time the infamous myth that you could play as Master Hand. Now this one is a little bit more credible and understandable because not only is Master Hand in basically all of the games as the final boss, but also because there is a glitch that kind of lets you play as it in Melee. It's a pretty complicated ordeal though. You basically have to plug your controller into slot 3, then hover over name entry, press A and B at the same time, release A but still hold B, then move over to the name entry thing again and press A. And if you do it correctly, you will spawn as Master Hand and can actually perform moves, although you can't actually move around the stage normally. And if you do end up winning, it just crashes the game. So yeah, there is no real method of unlocking Master Hand. They didn't even really make a playable version of him. There's only this glitch. GoldenEye Island. So GoldenEye Island, also just called Golden Island, is a location that can be seen in the first mission of GoldenEye 64, but normally players cannot actually access it. And you know what that means. This led to rumors that the island possibly contained some sort of secret weapon like the Golden Gun or some kind of secret, with some players even claiming that you could get to the island through a secret boat, which could only be unlocked by completing all the missions, including the secret ones, on all difficulties, and then return to this level, kill a guard, and take the key to said boat. However, there is no key or boat at all, and the only way to reach the island is through cheats, and when you actually get there, there's not much at all to see, and no secret items or weapons or anything. Although it does seem like this was going to be used at some point in development for some sort of mission before it was scrapped. 97th Exit. This is also referred to as the 97th level, which is a rumored secret level in Super Mario World. And this one is kind of weird because there's not even close to 96 levels in the game, although there are 96 goals or gates, whatever you want to call them, because some levels have multiple. And I guess it was rumored that there was a secret level that contained the 97th and last goalpost, but it doesn't actually exist, surprise surprise. Although the suggested methods involved collecting only certain coins in a specific order, which was said to make the floor drop at some point, with Mario falling into a pit for the secret level in question. Golden Warthog. Alright, Halo 2 is an awesome game, and despite its short development cycle, it has quite the fair share of secrets, Easter eggs, mysteries, and cut content. And of course it had some rumors and myths. One of those being the Golden Warthog, which comes from billboards in the game which show it. And I gotta say, this one is pretty believable. Like, it wouldn't be the craziest thing that Bungie put into one of these games, but it does get a little ridiculous once you get to the method of actually acquiring it. which was that you would have to go on the multiplayer map headlong, destroy some banshees, go into the yellow building, destroy all the fusion coils in there, then go back outside, find the carbine, go back into the building, go to the second floor, find the hippo on the wall, shoot it 6 times, break the window opposite the hippo, then get onto the top of the building, get the rocket launcher, get to the hanging metal attached to the crane, and then blow yourself up with a rocket launcher. Then go to where the beam rifle is, and the golden warthog would spawn. You got all that? Yeah, unfortunately this doesn't actually do anything, and there is no golden warthog in the game. Silent Hill boat ending. Another rumored ending for Silent Hill, similar to the ambulance one from earlier, although this time it was rumored that there was some way to escape using a boat, because when you interact with the ship's wheel, the protagonist Harry says, "Don't worry about that now." Keyword now. So some players thought you could return here once you find a way to fix the ship or something, or once you got to a certain point in the story. But yeah, this one is a lot less known than the ambulance one. Purple Yoshi. In the 1997 N64 platformer Yoshi's Story, there are quite a few different colored Yoshis, most of which are playable, but not this infamous purple one, which can be seen in early footage of the game as well as in the opening cutscene, which led players to speculate that he was in the game, but that he was a secret unlockable character, who you possibly got if you collected every coin in the game, among other methods, but none of these actually work. And everyone brings up Purple Yoshi, but what about the brown one? Because he's also a scrapped character seen in the demo that is not playable in the full version. Justin Bailey. This one is pretty interesting. So in Metroid, there are codes that the player can enter for a bunch of different things, like getting to certain parts of the game, having infinite ammo, invincibility, a bunch of stuff. But one code that puzzled a lot of players back in the day was Justin Bailey, which when typed in would spawn Samus without her suit. So immediately this led to a lot of speculation and theories as to what this even meant, with some thinking it was some sort of slang term or possibly the name of one of the developers, but none of these were true. It's kind of complicated how this code system works, but basically a lot of codes were discovered because of how the system would recognize a quote-unquote correct password. I don't even really fully understand it, to be honest, but the theory is that some kid, probably with that name, might have found this working password by entering his own name or possibly just guessing, but that would be a pretty crazy coincidence. But like I said, this isn't actually the only working password for this, but it is one of the most well-known ones for sure. Ocarina of Time Sky Temple. So because in Ocarina of Time, all of the sages are hidden inside of temples, except for the Sage of Light, rumors began to circulate that actually there was a hidden sky temple that was just hard to locate. And of course it involved a super convoluted method in which the player would have to somehow pause the day-night cycle, and then defeat hundreds of Style children, which would spawn a giant skeleton monster, which when that was defeated would create a portal to the Sky Temple, which to stack hoaxes on top of each other was said by some to also contain the Triforce, but neither of these myths are real. Tier 5. Roblox hackers. So this is more so a broad thing, I guess. Rumors about people hacking Roblox, such as an account called 1x1x1x1, who was said to be involved in an infamous hacking incident that took place on April Fools of 2012. However, this was debunked, and I guess there are quite a few of these fake Roblox hacker hoaxes. Play as nitrous oxide. In the racing game Crash Team Racing from 1999, a spin-off kart racer of the Crash Bandicoot series, it was alleged that the main antagonist of the game, Nitrous Oxide, was an unlockable and playable character. Now, where have I heard this before? There were a couple of rumors on how to unlock this guy, including codes, which actually did work, although it's only in certain courses, and it wasn't actually a planned feature or anything according to the devs. Some also believe though that he could possibly be unlocked by beating him in a race, and then all of the entropy ghosts and the nitrous oxide ghosts in some sort of specific order, and then entering a code on the main menu which would unlock the character. But yeah, this doesn't actually work. Although in the 2019 remake, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, nitrous oxide is actually a playable character. Brutus the Bulldog. So in the original Animal Crossing game for the GameCube released in 2001, there were rumors that circulated about an evil villager called Brutus. Or sometimes apparently he was called Burtus, which is my preferred name. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Anyway, it sounds just like a creepypasta. If you're away too long, the story goes that he will show up in your town to do a bunch of weird and creepy stuff and make the game start glitching out. But yeah, shout out to Burtus, I guess. GTA 4 Ratman. Ratman. Talked about this guy plenty of times now, but we'll do it again for old time's sake. So this is definitely the most infamous myth from GTA 4. A half-man, half-rat creature said to be found in the tunnels and subways of Liberty City. Said to even attack the player on sight if seen, with this image being basically what sparked this whole rumor. And trust me, many people back in the day went looking for this guy. I'm pretty sure like 10-year-old me even looked around a bit, but sadly nobody actually found him. Because of course, like many of the urban legends in the GTA games, it was just a hoax, albeit a fun and pretty interesting one at that. And even without Ratman, those subway tunnels in Liberty City can be pretty eerie to explore. Ghost cars. Now, it looks like this entry says ghost cats on the actual Iceberg, but I'm pretty sure this is referring to ghost cars, because if you've seen my San Andreas video, you know this is a pretty widespread phenomenon in that game, and one of the most notable myths in San Andreas. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that it's actually real, at least in the form of a glitch. Basically, sometimes in the woods of Baco Beyond, these cars can spawn which appear to be moving despite there being no driver, which led many to believe that these cars were actually haunted and possessed by spirits. But in reality, it's just a glitch where the cars spawn in and begin to roll down the hill due to the game's physics. All Bonds. Developed by Rare in 1997 as a tie-in to the James Bond film of the same name, we have the FPS for the N64, GoldenEye, and in the game there was a popular rumor that once again was started by EGM, where it was stated that there was an All Bonds cheat code, meaning that it would allow the player to unlock and play as any one of the actors that had portrayed James Bond, such as Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, or Timothy Dalton. And well, this one had a little more truth to it than some, as this was at one point a planned feature, as models for all four were found in the files. 1987. Alright, so back to the first Five Nights at Freddy's. In the game, there is a custom night, which lets you set the difficulty of the four animatronics, and because of, well...
Was that the bite of 87?
A rumor started that if you put the number 1987, you would unlock a special custom night or ending to the game, but in reality nothing would happen. That was until this rumor really got around, and the developer Scott Cawthon decided to put in a little Easter egg for those who attempted this, which was a Golden Freddy jump scare that would then forcibly close the game. GTA 3 Ghost Town. So this refers to a normally inaccessible part of the GTA 3 map of Liberty City that is only found in the opening cutscene, and the only way to get there is to actually no-clip. But there were some initial theories on possible ways to get there, as some believed there could be secrets hidden there, and it was one of the earliest myths in that game. Although it's basically just one street used for the cutscene, and there's not really anything of note here. Rockstar themselves even stated they just built it for the opening and wanted it to be separate from the main map, and just hid it thinking no players would ever find it. Nudality. So similar to Fatality and Babality and whatever other talities exist in the Mortal Kombat games, there was a rumor that there existed certain finishing moves that would turn the opponent nude, because of course there was. Apparently there was actually a game though called Tattoo Assassins, which was basically a Mortal Kombat clone which actually had this, which is probably where this rumor comes from. Or it was just people misremembering and thinking it was from an actual Mortal Kombat game. Luigi in Sunshine. My boy Luigi is always out here getting shafted. So this rumor, also known as Super Luigi Sunshine, basically states that like in Mario 64, it's possible to unlock and play as the Green Brother himself. The main method was that after you collect all 120 Shine Sprites, then Waluigi would appear in Delfino Plaza as a secret boss fight, and upon defeating him you would actually unlock Luigi as a playable character. But unlike Mario 64, nothing in the code or anything suggests that Luigi was even planned to be playable at some point. Totaka's song Locations. So this refers to a piece of music called Totaka's Song, which is a track that is hidden in many of Nintendo's games, as it's basically a kind of secret signature or calling card of the composer Kazumi Totaka. And most of these have been found, although not every game he's worked on has this piece in it, at least that's been found, which has led to many searching for this track in other titles, where they may or may not still be hidden. Tier 6. Ocarina of Time Desert Pyramid. More Ocarina of Time here. So this is actually yet another alleged secret dungeon that people thought could be accessed, as when you play the Song of Storms in Haunted Wastelands, a lightning flash can appear, revealing this desert pyramid in the background. However, there is no real way to reach the pyramid. But if you do actually no-clip there isn't anything secret waiting for you. No hidden dungeon or anything. Tsar Dragon. Another Final Fantasy VI urban legend here. A secret boss called the Tsar Dragon, which is hinted at a couple of times in the game but never actually appears, despite there being some alleged ways to summon this boss, such as collecting all 26 pieces of Magicite before fighting the other dragon bosses in the World of Ruin. However, this doesn't work in the original game, but this was actually planned at some point and is a piece of cut content, which was revealed via data mining, with the sprite labeled as Tsar Dragon actually being found. And this was even further enforced with the Game Boy Advance version of the game, which includes a very similar boss called the Kaiser Dragon. Solving Baldi's Math. So Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning is a horror game actually inspired by old 90s education games. And in it you're actually chased by various figures, but the main one is this guy, Baldi, who gets progressively more aggressive as you fail questions, which you have to answer after collecting notebooks around the school. Now the thing is that every third question is actually unanswerable. All the text is jumbled and it is impossible to give a correct answer in order to make the game more difficult. However, many fans have theorized and even spread rumors that it is actually possible to get these questions right. However, this has never actually been proven. Pikachu hates Sony. This one is pretty funny. So in 1998, Nintendo released a Pokemon virtual pet game called Hey You Pikachu for the N64, which actually utilized a microphone, as Pikachu would react to the things you said. Well, at least out of a bank of about 200 words. And the rumor goes that 2 of these were PlayStation and Sony, which would make Pikachu get angry because of Nintendo's rivalry with Sony at the time. However, this is not the case, and these words aren't even recognized in the game, although it is possible that the game might have recognized them as other words and reacted that way. Render Man. So this alleged entity, inspired pretty obviously by Slender Man, was circulated around in the game Blockland, basically a Lego-like sandbox game. And yeah, it's your standard creepypasta affair, complete with low-res screenshots and everything. He's also said to have multiple forms, and even sometimes goes by the Prepper or something, I guess. Either way, it's all just a myth. Cake ending. Here's another rumored secret ending, one for the classic Valve title Portal, one where in the end you actually receive the cake that is promised for basically the whole game. But currently the only way to actually get to it is, you guessed it, by no clipping, and nothing really happens. But some have theorized that there was some alternate ending where you actually get it, but it required some very specific steps, like super convoluted. I won't even get into the method here, but it involves a lot of complicated portal steps, as well as using the companion cube to like block the robot arm that takes out the candle of the cake. But yeah, there is no secret ending for doing any of this crazy stuff, unfortunately. The laser suit. This one is pretty wild. So once again, in Super Mario World, there was a rumored secret warp pipe in the top secret area, which when you go through it would take you to a hidden level called simply ... and would spawn the secret laser suit power up, which gave you a cape feather as well as a laser gun. However, this whole thing was a hoax, and the video made of it, which was made in the mid-2000s, was using a hacked game. Revive Bill. So in the Left 4 Dead 2 canonical version of the campaign The Sacrifice, a fan favorite character from the first game, Bill, is actually killed while sacrificing himself to restart a generator to let the others escape. And in the sequel campaign, The Passing, Bill's corpse can actually be found, which led to rumors that he could actually be revived, possibly with the defibrillator, as you can do with real dead teammates in the game. However, this obviously didn't work, so rip Bill, I guess. Evil Otto kills. Evil Otto is a rather well-known and infamous character from an arcade game called Berserk, because as the legend goes, it has the potential to actually kill those who play it, and has done so in the past, such as the case of a player who died of a heart attack after playing in 1982. And this sparked a ton of intrigue and mystery around the game, starting urban legends of the game's character, Evil Otto, killing players that beat the high scores, with other alleged accounts of people dying after playing it, although most of these can't be proven. And even in the case of the real fatality supposedly linked to the game, his death most likely had nothing to do with the game itself, and rather was from an underlying heart condition. Webkinz Killer. Now, this here is a truly fascinating gaming urban legend, one that came about in an online children's website and game called Webkinz World, where you take care of virtual pets, or Webkinz as they're called. And in this seemingly innocent game, a rumor spread about a certain character, an in-game serial killer called the Webkinz Killer, that would attack and kill your Webkinz in graphic fashion, with one of the most popular versions of this being the character Dr. Quack, who was identified as the killer. Some even further theorized that he was put in the game by a disgruntled employee or developer, but none of this is actually true. And GANs themselves confirmed in 2008 that nothing in the game can actually harm their pets. Tier 7. Beat the Running Man. Back to Ocarina of Time again, and this refers to the idea that you can actually beat the Running Man in the race in Hyrule Field, which is normally impossible as the game only expects you to beat his time, not actually beat him in the race. Even by cheating and breaking the game by boosting the player's speed or even teleporting right to the finish, nothing really works. It's impossible to actually win the race because there is no programmed scene or dialogue or anything for this to happen. Hunter Ghost. This one here could either be some sort of cut content from Luigi's Mansion, or simply a misinterpretation by some players. What I'm talking about here is from the October 2001 issue of Nintendo Power, which has an article promoting the game's release, and one of these paragraphs gives an interesting description. It reads, quote, "When your ghoul-busting mission takes you to the trophy room, proceed with caution. If you meet up with the ghost of a hunter, he'll want to add Luigi to his collection." So some believed that either this ghost hunter was cut from the game, or it was just something that nobody had discovered, and theories arose as to how to actually find it. However, it's more likely that this is actually just a description of the safari room from the game. Stanley Parable Undiscovered Endings. More rumored endings. Quite a few on this list already, and this one is kind of vague, so I won't spend too much time with this. Also because I don't really want to spoil myself on this game. I haven't played it yet, even though I wanted to for quite a while. But anyway, this game already has apparently 19 different endings. But I don't know, I guess maybe that's not enough. Final Fantasy VII Hidden Party Members Guide. So we're getting a little more obscure stuff down here, because this is something I could only find thanks to a comment left by the creator of the Iceberg, where he said that it's some sort of website he found that contained some rumored methods for unlocking secret characters for your party in Final Fantasy VII, two of which he remembers being a fighting chocobo and a boxing goblin type character, which is interesting. Misfortune.gb. Alright, this one hit me right in the nostalgia. What can I say, I kinda grew up on creepypastas, so seeing this on the list definitely put a smile on my face. But to be honest, I didn't know this was a hoax, or that people thought it was even real or anything. But basically the story is a game called Misfortune.gb, which is hidden and only accessible through other Game Boy games, which introduces some sort of demonic entity that guides and challenges the player, and even causes them to experience misfortune in their real lives after playing, complete with its own Sonic.exe inspired I Am God screen. Yeah, it's not the greatest creepypasta ever, but hey, it was fun back in the day. Moss Deep Rocket. So for Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, there was a rumor surrounding the rocket in Moss Deep Space Center. That being that for some reason, if the number of launches got up to something like 100, then the player would suddenly be able to ride it and actually go into space, where they would then be able to fight and catch two legendary Pokemon, those being Deoxys and Jirachi. And this all sounds completely wild and fake, which it is, but in the 3DS remakes, you are actually able to go into space and catch Deoxys, although this time with the use of the Pokemon Rayquaza. Goldeen Horn Drill. So out of the Pokemon that can be summoned in Smash Melee, one of the worst and considered a dud Pokemon is Goldeen, who basically just flops around and does nothing of actual use. But there were theories that there was a rare chance that Goldeen could instantly KO your opponent in some instances using the move Horn Drill. This is because in the trophy description for the Pokemon, it reads, quote, Goldeen's Horn Drill is so strong that it can KO an enemy with one strike if it connects. So it literally seems like Nintendo is telling you about this move because it's in the game, right? As just some ultra rare thing, but sadly no. I guess they just included that because this Pokemon can do that like in the games, but yeah, definitely misled people back in the day. And further deep dives into the game's code confirmed that no such move is in Melee. Reviving Palam and Porum. Sorry if I mispronounced those names, but again, more reviving character rumors. This is an interesting trend. I mean, I guess some people just can't let some of these characters go. Fair enough, I guess. We're again in Final Fantasy, but this time with the 4th entry, with two characters, Palam and Porum, who get petrified but later saved. So why is this even on here? Well, it's basically because of the fact that the game allows you to use items on them while they're in this state, leading many to speculate that there was a way to free them earlier, although nothing actually works on them, so that's that. Tier 8. Houlihan Room. So I had never heard about this before, and it's pretty interesting. So Nintendo Power actually held this kind of strange contest in which basically people sent in pictures of them finding like a rare Final Fantasy boss or something, and then whoever was chosen would then get a special secret room made for them in The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past that is named after them. Yeah, it's kind of random, but anyway, the winner was a kid named Chris Houlihan, which is why it's called the Houlihan Room. Now, this is all real, mind you, so I'm not really sure where the rumors or hoaxes come in. Maybe there were some other alleged methods of how you could get in the room or something, but I don't know. Columbine Doom Wad. Oh boy, this one again. So I won't take too much time with this. I've talked about it before, and it's a pretty dark gaming urban legend as it concerns the perpetrators behind the incident at Columbine High School in 1999. This myth states that one of the men responsible, Eric Harris, actually created a version of their high school as a Doom custom level, or a WAD, as he was known to make these. But this particular level has not been found, so it's unknown if it really exists or not. Creepy Castle Pillar. So this refers to a certain pillar that does absolutely nothing in Donkey Kong 64, although it really does seem like it should be for something at least, and it's located in the level Creepy Castle, but it's just the pillar which does nothing and a purple balloon, so what's the story here? Well, some believed that it did actually have some hidden purpose, possibly having something to do with Stop and Swap, which we talked about earlier, but in the actual game it does nothing. And despite knowing that it was likely planned for something at some point of development, we know nothing else about this really. Final Fantasy VI Hidden Party Members Guide. So yeah, you can guess what this is. Very similar to the one with Final Fantasy VII, but this time with 6, and once again, according to the Iceberg's creator, it was a joke document that had a bunch of wild characters that could supposedly be recruited into your party, including Ryu from Street Fighter and Mario, so yeah, there's that. Scrupulous Fingor. So this is kind of a more recent hoax, which is really interesting, about an alleged cut enemy from New Super Mario Bros. Referred to in the game files as Scrupulous_Fingor. And most notably, it was said that any reference to this character to Miyamoto in an interview or anything would make him upset, and he wouldn't even answer any questions about it. On top of that, there were also some fake sprites and models that were created of this rumored character. But it was eventually revealed to all just be a hoax. Dragonite evolves into Yoshi. Now this is just wild. So in the old school Pokemon games, Red and Blue, apparently a rumor/hoax was started by a magazine called Expert Gamer, possibly as an April Fool's joke that there was a way to evolve the Pokemon Dragonite into Yoshi from Mario. And the method involved having both the red and blue versions of the game with all Pokemon in each version, and then the red one would have to trade a Dratini to the blue, then evolve it to Dragonite on the blue version and then trade it back. Then the player in Pokemon Red would have to go to the basement of the unknown dungeon, surf to the spot where Mewtwo can be found, and then use a Firestone on the Dragonite to evolve it into Yoshi. Yeah, pretty crazy hoax, but I guess a fun April Fool's joke. Tier 9. Woody's Workshop. Released for the PlayStation and N64, Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue was a 1999 platformer that had a rumored secret level known as Woody's Workshop, where Woody would actually give the player various different cheat codes to use in-game. The problem with this though is that the coin counter maxes out at 99, and you can't actually get to 100, even using cheats. And also, Andy's house only has a total of 97 coins, making this whole thing a hoax. Punch-Out Secret Boxers. So this refers to another specific website which lists a bunch of supposedly hidden boxers in Punch-Out for the NES, as well as how to unlock them. And the website now has a box stating that the secrets are fake, stating, quote, "Okay, here are some cool secrets to the game that are 100% fake. Except for Mr. Dream and Von Kaiser." Before I revealed that I had a Fred's Cool Punch-Out hack, I had a Bunk Secrets page that showed how to get fake characters. I meant it as a joke because a real Punch-Out fan would not be fooled by my quote-unquote secrets. However, there were a lot of people who were completely fooled and tried these, and emailed me back bitching about it, even still to this day. Even when I had click here before you try these secrets on the top and bottom of my page, and people people still give me harassing emails. Some of those emails were quite amusing. Well, to be honest, straightforward, all of these secrets below are 100% fake. Some of these characters are only available on my Fred's Cool Punch-Out hack, and the ones that are hacked appear over the original characters, and their strategies are still the same too. And the rest of the characters are 100% fake. Sad but true, but there is no way to play against the Dragon Lord, Doc Lewis, or Mario Bros. So yeah, on the list there's a bunch of wild stuff. I'm surprised anyone even bought this at any point in time. I mean, the guy put himself in the list, but yeah. Like he mentioned, there was Doc Lewis and Mario, but there was also some other crazy stuff like a ninja, a robot, and actual scribbles. Yes. Chocolate Factory level. So this was a myth that started when an author named Jeff Rovin published a guidebook called How to Win at Nintendo Games, which included a suggestion that there was a secret level hidden in the game that was a chocolate factory. And although he stated this was a rumor and didn't give any way to actually get to it, fans of the game still tried to find it, but were ultimately unsuccessful, as it could have just been made up by Rovin or just been some kind of playground rumor that he heard. Kill Switch. Here's one I remember from way back in the creepypasta days. Basically it concerns a game called Kill Switch that was said to have only a very limited number of copies made, and once you play it and die in the game, it erases itself from your system and it's unable to be played again, which is an interesting concept for sure. However, as it turns out, this game is actually from a short story written by author Catherine M. Valente, and was published in a short story collection called The Melancholy of Mecha Girl. El Puerco. And we're back to Ocarina of Time. Zelda fans are eating good today, I guess. Anyway, this is a rumor of a secret boar enemy that supposedly can be encountered in the graveyard during the race. However, this seems to be just a hoaxed cryptid, as there's no evidence of said boar or El Puerco ever existing. Trick It. So remember when I mentioned the Pokegods way earlier in the video? Well, this is one of them, and one of the more reasonable ones. But once you get to the crazy unlock method, then it gets a little wild, because the rumor went that you had to have a Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill in that specific order. Then empty your PC box, go into the Safari Zone, and then it just gets crazy. You have to catch a bunch of Pokemon in a specific order again, then defeat the Elite Four using only bug types, have the Pokemon at certain levels as well, and then talk to Professor Oak, and eventually you'll unlock this Pokegod. Needless to say, this is fake, but the initial design seems like it could actually be real. Lickitung evolves into Luigi. So much Luigi stuff on here. And yes, you heard the entry title right. This was actually an April Fool's prank done by Nintendo themselves on their official website in 1999, where they posted an article about how to unlock Pokemon number 160 in the Pokedex, which was the plumber type Luigi, who had moves including Wrench, Cower, and Mustache Slap. It was stated that to get him, you first need to catch a Lickitung with an Ultra Ball, then stand where Snorlax usually blocks the bridge in Vermilion City, then turn the Game Boy upside down and feed the Lickitung rare candy, at which point it will evolve into Luigi. Pretty wild stuff. Tier 10. Rankles the Otter. Originally published in the UK edition of Sega Magazine, there was a real article that suggested that there was a secret character in Sonic & Knuckles that was a green otter and also Knuckles' sidekick. And the article also further stated that the first person to find Rankles in-game and screenshot him would win £1 million. However, once you get to the end of the article, they clarify that it is just a joke, but many people either didn't get that far or still believed he existed, which led to speculation on how to unlock him. The Unlocking Geno video. This is a really obscure one that for a while Blastoise_ for the win couldn't even find, but luckily he actually did in an unlisted re-upload. And basically it shows the character Geno from Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars in Smash Bros. Brawl. And for whenever it was released, it was apparently pretty convincing. Also, allegedly Sakurai did consider putting him in the game at some point due to the character's popularity. You want fun? So I'm pretty sure this is in reference to the infamous Wario apparition, as his famous quote is,
"You want fun? Wario show you fun."
But this Wario apparition is just from some well-made hoax videos that spawned the legend, and many other series and videos like it, including Greenio's Super Mario 64 Classified. Also, I've done a deeper dive on Mario 64 myths and conspiracies in this video right here, if you want to check that out after this. I solved the stop and swap. Okay, so this is pretty much what made me create this video. Not because this is such a crazy entry or anything, really it isn't, but it's because this was on a lost media iceberg I'm covering, and led me to this Reddit post which actually showed me this awesome iceberg. So yeah, shout out to this, but basically this is just another video described by the creator that he hasn't been able to find, which is of a guy explaining how he solved the stop and swap mystery, going through a bunch of steps and multiple N64 games, just for it to be a rickroll at the end. Classic. Nimbus Terrafux. Alright, I'm gonna chill out with that name because you know how YouTube is with their demonetizing, so yeah. Anyways, Electronic Gaming Monthly is at it again with their hoaxes, and I just realized I guess people never learn. I mean, they're known for doing this at this point, but anyway, this is about another supposed hidden character, but in Mortal Kombat. A kickboxer named Nimbus, yeah, who was said to be exclusive to the Genesis version of the game, and apparently this wasn't even an April Fool's joke, so you can't blame people that much, I guess, as it was revealed in a December 1993 issue. All game hoaxes are real. Ah yes, I should have known. All game hoaxes are actually real and all games are personalized. Well, maybe it's an alternate universe, I guess. Anyway, it's just a joke entry, but that's about it for this iceberg. I know, at this point there is getting to be overlap with some of my videos, and even some icebergs I've already covered, but still, there were some interesting entries that I definitely had never heard of and piqued my interest. But let me know, were there some entries left off this list? What rumors and hoaxes do you remember from your childhood? Or some that are still just as captivating to you today? And if any, which of these do you think might actually have some truth to them? But that's all for now from me. Breaking Bad video coming soon, hopefully. Also check out the second channel, sourcebrew 2, for some other content not found on the main channel. I only have one video up right now for my most wanted pieces of lost media, but definitely expect some more stuff on there in the future. Oh, and if you're looking for more video game iceberg content, I've got a 3.5-hour one on cut content, so there's that if you're interested. Anyway, that's it for now. It's been me, sourcebrew, and I'll see y'all with the next video. Take care. Peace out.